The call came while I was standing knee-deep in the Colorado River, watching my line drift downstream in the early morning current. First real vacation I'd taken in 3 years, and my phone was buzzing like an angry hornet in my fishing vest. Should have left the damn thing back at the cabin, but 20 years at Apex Manufacturing had trained me to always be available, always ready to fix whatever mess someone else had created. I'm Roy Mitchell, 51 years old, and I was about to make what felt like the biggest mistake of my career by answering that call. Roy, what the hell are you doing in Colorado when we've got the quarterly integration update due Monday? Kevin Walsh's voice cut through the peaceful morning like a buzzsaw. Kevin was 33, fresh MBA from Northwestern, and my new boss for the past 9 months. The kind of guy who thought business school taught you everything about manufacturing. My vacation was approved 3 months ago, I said, keeping my voice steady despite the familiar knot forming in my stomach. Everything's documented and handed off to Philip. The integration runs automatically over weekends. We don't approve outdated thinking anymore, Roy. The board wants digital transformation, not some legacy approach that's holding us back. I could practically hear him smirking through the phone. Your methods belong in a museum. We need modern solutions, not antiquated systems from the Stone Age. Those words hit harder than they should have. I'd built Apex's entire manufacturing integration from nothing. Every machine, every conveyor, every quality scanner talked to each other through protocols I designed. When I started at 31, they had 6 separate systems that couldn't communicate. I'd spent 20 years creating a unified language that turned chaos into precision. The truth was, my systems were running better than anything Kevin's consultants could dream up. 99.8% uptime for 6 straight years. 0 critical failures. Customer satisfaction consistently above 95%. But Kevin didn't see reliability. He saw old code, legacy hardware, and someone who made him look incompetent by comparison. Kevin, those systems are running at 99.8% uptime because of those antiquated approaches. The automation modules you want to implement won't work without the foundation protocols I built. Consider this your termination, effective immediately. The line went dead. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, watching my reflection waver in the current, and something strange happened. Instead of panic, I felt this weird sense of relief wash over me, like a weight I'd been carrying for months just lifted off my shoulders. Truth was, I'd been dreading work since Kevin arrived. He'd been systematically undermining everything I'd built, calling it technical debt in board meetings. He'd brought in consultants from Silicon Valley, who spoke buzzwords about AI-driven optimization, but couldn't explain how their shiny software would interface with 15-year-old German machinery that still outperformed anything made today. The divorce had been finalized 8 months ago. Sarah had taken half our savings, plus I was still helping our kids through college. Emma was 22, finishing her teaching degree, and Michael was 19, just starting engineering school. The timing couldn't have been worse financially, but somehow getting fired felt like the universe telling me it was time to stop accepting less than I was worth. I tried explaining manufacturing reality to Kevin countless times. It's not just about having the latest technology. It's about understanding how different generations of equipment work together, like conducting an orchestra where half the instruments are analog and half are digital. You need someone who speaks both languages. But Kevin saw me as dead weight, old thinking, a relic who didn't understand the digital future. What he didn't understand was that I'd been bridging that gap for 2 decades. The future only works when it can talk to the past, and I was the translator. During those 9 months under Kevin's management, I'd watched him make decision after decision that showed he fundamentally didn't grasp what we actually did. He'd approve budget cuts for maintenance protocols that prevented million-dollar breakdowns. He'd push for software updates without understanding the hardware dependencies. He'd promise clients delivery schedules that were physically impossible given our production constraints. Every time I tried to explain why his ideas wouldn't work, he'd dismiss it as resistance to change. Every time one of my predictions came true, a breakdown here, a delay there, he'd blame it on the legacy systems instead of his poor planning. The guy had convinced himself that anything older than 5 years was automatically inferior, regardless of performance. The irony was that Kevin had been hired specifically to modernize our operations, but he didn't understand the difference between modernization and replacement. You don't tear down a house that's structurally sound just to install smart thermostats. You upgrade the systems that need upgrading and leave the foundation alone. My phone had been buzzing intermittently while I processed what just happened. Text messages from colleagues who'd probably heard Kevin making calls. The manufacturing world is smaller than people think, especially when someone starts making dramatic personnel changes. I looked downstream where another fisherman had been working the same pool for about 2 hours. We'd exchanged the usual morning greetings and fishing courtesy, but hadn't really talked. Now seemed like as good a time as any to strike up a conversation. Getting fired had a way of making normal social barriers seem pretty meaningless. Trouble? The voice came from upstream before I could approach him. Scott Rodriguez, maybe 48, had been watching me deal with the phone call. Quiet confidence about him, the kind of guy who observed before he spoke. Just got fired, I said, reeling in my line. Scott nodded like this was the most normal conversation in the world. Their loss or yours? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Between the college expenses, the alimony payments, and normal living costs, I'd been planning to work another 14 years until retirement. Now I was looking at unemployment at 51, competing against guys half my age who knew Python but couldn't wire a relay. But Kevin had been making my life miserable for 9 months. The constant second-guessing, the dismissive attitude toward my expertise, the way he'd bring in outside consultants to validate decisions he'd already made. I'd been getting stress headaches, losing sleep, dreading Monday mornings for the first time in my career. Theirs, I said finally, and meant it. Good answer. He waited closer. Scott Rodriguez, Mountain West Industrial Solutions CEO, we shook hands in the middle of the river. His grip was firm, calloused. Hands that had actually built things, not just shuffled papers. When someone spends their days working with machinery, you can tell. There's a practical confidence that comes from solving real problems in real time. Manufacturing? I asked. Systems integration consulting. We help companies bridge the gap between legacy equipment and modern automation. He paused, studying my face. What's your background? I found myself talking for the next hour about protocols and machine languages, about the art of making incompatible systems work together, about how manufacturing had become this weird blend of mechanical engineering and software development. Scott listened like he actually understood what I was saying. Most people's eyes glaze over when I start explaining the technical side of what I do. Even at Apex, the sales team would nod politely when I briefed them on system capabilities, but I could tell they were just waiting for me to finish so they could get back to talking numbers. Scott was different. He asked follow-up questions that showed he actually got it. He said as we worked our way upstream, casting toward a promising eddy, most of these consultants come in promising to revolutionize everything. They see a 12-year-old PLC and immediately want to rip it out and replace it with something that costs 10 times more and does half the job. Because they don't understand the foundation, I said. They think newer automatically means better. Exactly. But sometimes the foundation is the most valuable part. Sometimes you don't need to rebuild the house. You just need to upgrade the wiring. That conversation changed everything. Scott wasn't just making small talk. He was interviewing me without me realizing it, and I was interviewing him right back. I explained how when I started at Apex, they had this German injection molding system from 1998 that produced perfect parts but couldn't talk to anything else. Then they had a Japanese assembly line from 2003 that was incredibly precise but used completely different communication protocols, plus an American quality control system from 2008 that spoke yet another language entirely. So you built the Rosetta Stone, Scott said. Exactly. I wrote custom drivers, built hardware bridges, created translation protocols, but it's not just code. Each system has its own timing, its own quirks. The German system needs exactly 2.1 seconds between commands or it throws a fault. The Japanese robots have to be warmed up in a specific sequence or they lose calibration. The quality scanners need to be synchronized with conveyor speed down to the millisecond. Scott nodded thoughtfully. That kind of institutional knowledge doesn't live in documentation. Kevin thought it did. He kept asking me to document everything so it could be handed off to cheaper contractors. I cast toward a fallen log where trout were probably sheltering. You can't document 20 years of troubleshooting. You can't write a manual for intuition. And when something goes wrong at 2 a.m. on a Sunday, you need someone who understands not just what the error code means, but why it's happening and what probably caused it. Right? Kevin's consultants can read error messages, but they can't think like the machines. They don't understand the relationships between systems. We fished in comfortable silence for a while. Scott was good company, the kind of guy who didn't feel the need to fill every moment with conversation. When he did speak, it was usually worth listening to. Can I ask what kind of companies you work with? I said eventually. Mid-size manufacturers, mostly family businesses that have been around 15 to 25 years. They've accumulated layers of technology, but never had someone who could make it all work together efficiently. Right now, they're choosing between expensive total overhauls or living with inefficiency. But there's usually a third option. That's what we sell. The third option. Making what they have work better instead of replacing everything. He reeled in his line to check his fly. Most of these companies have good equipment that just needs to be integrated properly. They don't need new machines. They need someone who can teach their old machines to work with newer systems. It was exactly the kind of work I'd been doing at Apex, except Scott's clients actually valued that expertise instead of seeing it as an obstacle to progress. The problem, Scott continued, is finding people who understand both worlds. You need someone who can program in modern languages, but also knows how to interface with legacy hardware. Someone who understands that a 20-year-old machine isn't obsolete if it's still producing quality parts. How long have you been doing this? Built Mountain West from nothing 8 years ago, started with just me in a pickup truck, helping small manufacturers solve integration problems. Now we've got 12 full-time people and more work than we can handle. What kind of background do your engineers have? Mixed. Some are old-school guys who came up through the trades and learned programming later. Others are younger engineers who are smart enough to respect experience instead of dismissing it, he smiled. The key is finding people who understand that progress doesn't always mean replacement. That evening, sitting on the cabin deck with a beer and actually relaxing for the first time in months, my phone started lighting up. Text after text from my colleagues back at Apex. I'd turned the sound off after Kevin's call, but the screen kept flashing like a Christmas tree. Scott joined me on the deck, nursing a whiskey. Sounds like your former employer is discovering the difference between having someone and needing someone. I picked up my phone. Philip Torres, the junior engineer I'd been training for 3 years, sounded panicked in his first message. Roy, please tell me Kevin didn't really fire you. The integration crashed during the weekend test cycle. Nobody knows how to restart the sequence. Another message from Amanda Foster in operations. 4 production lines down. Error codes don't match anything in the system database. Kevin's consultants are making it worse. Then one from Lisa Anderson on the board. Need to discuss recent personnel decisions. Call immediately. Scott read over my shoulder. Board members don't contact engineers directly unless something's seriously wrong. Kevin must be in full panic mode. I scrolled through more messages. The systems I built don't run themselves. They're not plug and play. They're more like conversations between machines, and you need to understand the language, and you're the only one who speaks it fluently. I thought about explaining it to Scott, then realized he probably already understood. When you've spent decades making incompatible systems work together, you develop an intuition for how machines think. You start to recognize patterns and failures, relationships between seemingly unconnected problems. The consultants Kevin brought in are probably treating this like a software problem instead of a manufacturing problem, I said. They see error codes and think they can Google solutions, but these aren't standard errors. They're symptoms of systems trying to communicate but speaking different languages. My phone buzzed again with a voicemail from someone I didn't recognize. I played it on speaker. Mr. Mitchell, this is Jennifer Adams with Sterling Industries. We're Apex's largest client. We need to discuss the production delays affecting our Q4 delivery schedule. The quality metrics we're seeing are unacceptable. Please call me immediately. Scott and I looked at each other. I'd worked with Sterling for 7 years. They represented 35% of Apex's revenue. How long before everything completely falls apart? He asked. Kevin's team might keep basic production running another week, maybe 10 days, but they're probably running manual overrides on everything. Quality's going to be inconsistent, and they have no idea how to troubleshoot when something breaks. Because troubleshooting requires understanding the relationships between systems. It's like trying to fix a car engine when you don't know how the transmission affects the timing. Everything's connected. Scott swirled his whiskey thoughtfully. Roy, I want to be direct with you. Mountain West has been looking for someone with exactly your background for 8 months. Legacy system integration is a lost art. Most companies have these manufacturing setups that newer tech guys can't make sense of. They see outdated equipment instead of proven reliability. What would that look like? Senior systems integration consultant. You'd have your own project team, full autonomy over technical decisions. The pay would be competitive, probably 25% more than you were making at Apex. He paused. But more importantly, you'd be working with people who understand the value of what you do. I looked out at the dark water, thinking about my 20 years at Apex. Kevin thought he could replace experience with algorithms and enthusiasm. Turns out machines don't care about your MBA or your consulting firm's reputation. They care about whether you understand how they think. Tell me more about this third option. Scott explained his approach over the next hour. Instead of coming in with a predetermined solution, Mountain West would spend time on the factory floor talking to machine operators, maintenance crews, quality inspectors, the people who actually knew how the equipment behaved day to day. Most consultants show up with PowerPoint presentations about digital transformation, Scott said. They never get their hands dirty. They don't understand that a 15-year-old CNC machine might be more precise than anything you can buy today. It just needs the right interface to communicate with modern systems. It was exactly the opposite of Kevin's approach. Kevin would walk through the plant in his expensive suit, pointing at older equipment and talking about modernization. But he'd never stop to ask why that equipment was still running, or what would be lost if it was replaced. When would you need an answer? Take your time. But if you're interested, I'd like you to meet the team when you get back to Denver. We've got a project starting next month that could really use your expertise. The next morning, I called Sterling Industries before heading back to Denver. Jennifer Adams sounded relieved to hear from me. Roy, thank God. What's happening over there? We've had 4 separate quality failures this week. Parts that should meet spec are coming in wrong sizes. Surface finish on Tuesday's batch was completely unacceptable. Jennifer, I need to tell you something. I'm not with Apex anymore. Kevin terminated me while I was on vacation. The silence stretched for a full 10 seconds. He did what? Fired me. Said my methods were outdated. Your methods? Her voice climbed an octave. Roy, your integration protocols are the only reason we've maintained our delivery schedules. Sterling has worked with Apex for 7 years specifically because of the consistency you built into their systems. I tried to document everything, but documentation doesn't replace experience. We need someone who understands our tolerances, our timing requirements, our quality standards. She paused. Are you available for consulting work? Before I could answer, she continued, because if Apex can't get their act together, we're going to need alternatives, fast. When I got back to Denver, chaos had spread through every level of Apex's operation. My voicemail was packed with increasingly desperate messages. Philip Torres had called 6 times. Amanda Foster sounded like she was on the verge of tears. Even the maintenance supervisor had left a message asking if I could just stop by for an hour to help with a calibration issue. But the most interesting message came from Lisa Anderson on the board. Roy, I think there's been a serious misunderstanding. Can we set up a meeting to discuss the situation? Before I could process all the calls, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I could see Kevin Walsh standing on my porch, looking like he'd aged 5 years in the past week. His usually perfect hair was disheveled, his tie hung loose, and he kept checking his phone every few seconds. Roy, we need to talk. About what? About fixing this situation. Look, maybe I was hasty. Hasty? I stepped aside to let him in, more out of curiosity than courtesy. Kevin, you called my work outdated thinking and fired me over the phone. That's not hasty. That's deliberate. He paced around my living room like a caged animal. The consultants are having some integration challenges. They're saying the existing systems are more complex than initially assessed. What they're saying is they have no idea how anything works. The board is asking questions I can't answer. Sterling Industries is threatening to pull their contract. Patterson Manufacturing wants explanations for delivery delays. He stopped pacing and looked at me directly. 3 other major clients are demanding status updates I can't provide. Kevin's confidence had evaporated completely. The cocky MBA graduate who dismissed my expertise was now standing in my living room, practically begging for help. I need you to come back. As what? Your subordinate who gets blamed next time something goes wrong. As technology director, full restoration of your previous authority, 25% salary increase, complete autonomy over system architecture. I almost laughed. Kevin, you spent 9 months undermining everything I built. You brought in consultants specifically to prove you could replace me. You told the board I was holding back progress. I was wrong. About what specifically? He swallowed hard. About thinking newer technology automatically meant better results. About believing that fresh perspectives could replace institutional knowledge. About assuming that documentation could substitute for experience. He paused, his voice getting quieter, and about treating you like you were disposable. I sat down in my recliner, taking my time. Kevin, do you understand what you actually fired? Not just a person, but 20 years of accumulated knowledge about how those systems think, how they respond to stress, how they communicate with each other. I know that now. No, you don't, because if you understood it, you would have understood it before you fired me. I leaned forward. You didn't fire me because of performance. You fired me because my competence made you feel incompetent. His face flushed red. It's exactly that. Every time I solved a problem you couldn't understand, every time a client asked for me specifically, every time the board mentioned system reliability, it reminded everyone that you were managing something you couldn't actually do yourself. Kevin's phone buzzed continuously. He glanced at it and went pale. That's the board. They want a status update on the Sterling situation. What are you going to tell them that we're working on it? Are you? He slumped onto my couch, all the fight going out of him. The consultants want to replace the entire infrastructure. They're talking about 12 months of downtime and $1.8 million in new equipment. The board will never approve that, because it's insane. We don't need new equipment. We need someone who understands the equipment we have. He looked up at me desperately. Will you come back? Name your terms? I pulled out the business card Scott had given me. No. The word hung in the air like smoke from a gunshot, because I found something better. I showed him the card. Mountain West Industrial Solutions. They specialize in making legacy systems work better, not replacing them. They value experience instead of fearing it. Kevin looked at the card like it was a death warrant. You can't be serious. I start Monday. Senior Systems Integration Consultant, 25% salary increase. My own project team, full autonomy over technical decisions. I stood up. Plus, something you never gave me at Apex. What's that? Respect. Kevin's phone buzzed again. This time he didn't even look at it. Roy, if you take that job, Sterling Industries will probably follow you. So will Patterson Manufacturing and Delta Systems. That's 60% of our client base. That's not my problem anymore. You'll destroy Apex. I walked to the door and opened it. Kevin, I didn't destroy anything. I built something that lasted 20 years. You destroyed it in 9 months. The difference is when I build something, I make sure it works with what's already there. When you destroy something, you do it because you don't understand what you're looking at. He walked to his car without another word. Through my window, I watched him sit in the driver's seat for 10 minutes, probably trying to figure out what to tell the board. My phone rang as his taillights disappeared down the street. Scott Rodriguez. Roy, I hope you've had time to think about our conversation. I'd like to discuss specifics if you're interested. I'm very interested, I said. When do we start? The next Monday, I walked into Mountain West's offices in downtown Denver. Clean, functional space with actual manufacturing equipment on display instead of generic corporate art. Scott introduced me to the team, 4 engineers, with backgrounds similar to mine, people who'd been pushed aside by companies chasing the latest trends. Roy's going to be leading the Precision Components project, Scott announced. They're a 20-year-old family business that makes specialized parts for aerospace. Good equipment, but their systems don't talk to each other efficiently. It was exactly the kind of challenge I'd been handling at Apex, except here nobody questioned whether the work was worth doing. The Precision Components plant was in Colorado Springs, a 2-hour drive south. When I walked onto their factory floor, I felt like I was coming home. The familiar sounds of machinery, the smell of cutting oil, the methodical rhythm of production. This was where I belonged, not in conference rooms listening to consultants talk about digital transformation. I spent 3 days just watching, talking to the machine operators, understanding how they'd been working around system limitations for years. By the end of the week, I had a clear picture of what needed to be done. Your 1995 CNC machines are actually more precise than most new equipment. I told their owner, Frank Precision, we don't need to replace them. We just need to teach them to communicate with your inventory system and quality scanners. How long would that take? 3 weeks for full integration. Cost about $85,000. Frank had been quoted $400,000 for complete system replacement by Kevin's former consultants. The integration I designed not only saved him money, it improved efficiency by 28% without any downtime. Meanwhile, Apex was imploding exactly as I'd predicted. Philip Torres called me in late October, sounding exhausted. Roy, I had to quit. Kevin's blaming everyone except himself for the Sterling contract cancellation. He fired 4 people last month, including Amanda Foster. The board brought in crisis management consultants who are recommending they sell the manufacturing division entirely. What happened to the Silicon Valley team? Gone after 3 months and $350,000 in consulting fees. They couldn't make anything work consistently. The German molding system has been down for 7 weeks. Kevin finally admitted they need someone who understands legacy integration, but nobody with your experience will work for him. Sterling Industries had indeed followed me to Mountain West, along with Patterson Manufacturing and 2 smaller clients. Scott had been right about the market demand for our services. Companies were tired of being told they needed to throw away functional equipment just to achieve digital transformation. In November, the news I'd been expecting finally came. Lisa Anderson called me directly. "Roy, I owe you an apology. The board should have intervened when Kevin started undermining your work. We thought we were modernizing. We were actually sabotaging ourselves." "What changed your mind? Numbers. Under your systems, Apex maintained 99.8% uptime for 6 years. After Kevin's changes, uptime dropped to 71% in 7 months. Customer satisfaction went from 96% to 64%. We lost $1.9 million in contracts directly attributable to quality and delivery failures." "What happened to Kevin?" "Terminated last week. The board is considering criminal charges for gross negligence, though I doubt it'll come to that." She paused. "Apex has been acquired by Sterling Industries' parent company for 25% less than book value. The new owners specifically mentioned they want to rebuild the technical expertise Kevin dismantled." 6 months after getting fired, I was sitting in Mountain West's expanded conference room, looking at quarterly numbers that proved everything I'd believed about the value of experience. We'd landed 11 new contracts, including 3 former Apex clients. Our revenue had grown 180% since I joined. But the real satisfaction came from solving problems that other consulting firms couldn't touch. Last month, we'd helped a furniture manufacturer in North Carolina integrate their 1985 German woodworking machines with modern inventory software. The week before, we'd saved a family-owned precision parts company from bankruptcy by making their 25-year-old machining centers communicate with new quality control systems. The difference, Scott explained to our newest client, is that Roy doesn't see old equipment as a problem to be solved. He sees it as an asset to be leveraged. The final validation came in December when I was invited to speak at the National Manufacturing Integration Conference in Chicago. Standing in front of 300 industry professionals, I realized this was my chance to speak for every experienced worker who'd been told they were obsolete. "The manufacturing industry has a wisdom problem," I began. "We're so focused on what's new that we've forgotten the value of what works." Every year, companies throw away decades of accumulated knowledge because someone convinced them that old equals obsolete. I clicked to a slide showing Mountain West's success metrics. In 8 months, my team has helped 15 companies increase efficiency an average of 32% without replacing a single piece of major equipment. The total cost of these improvements was $1.7 million. Complete system replacements would have cost $38 million and required $18 months of downtime. The audience was silent, but I could feel their attention. The secret isn't newer technology. The secret is understanding that progress means building bridges between what you have and what you need. And building those bridges requires something that can't be downloaded, can't be outsourced, and can't be replaced by artificial intelligence. Experience. I paused, looking out at faces that reflected my own journey. Your knowledge isn't outdated, it's irreplaceable. And any company that can't see the difference doesn't deserve what you've spent decades learning. The standing ovation lasted 2 minutes. Afterward, I was approached by representatives from 12 companies looking for exactly the kind of expertise Kevin had thrown away. At 51, I wasn't winding down toward retirement. I was building the most rewarding chapter of my career. Getting fired by Kevin Walsh was the best thing that ever happened to my professional life. It forced me to stop accepting less than I was worth and start demanding the respect I'd earned. Sometimes the biggest favor someone can do is to stop taking advantage of your loyalty. Experience isn't outdated, it's priceless. And any company smart enough to recognize that difference gets to benefit from everything you've learned. The rest get to watch you succeed somewhere else. The moment you stop accepting less than you're worth is the moment you discover how much you're actually worth, and that number is usually a lot higher than the people who've been underpaying you ever wanted you to realize. Your biggest professional mistake isn't getting fired by someone who doesn't value you. It's staying loyal to someone who takes your expertise for granted while they build their career on your back.